guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled I Walked into a Pharmacy Wearing Scrubs, so Karen appointed me as head doctor. So little old groggy me, medical intern, is finally leaving the hospital after a 36-hour-long shift, the second of the week. It is a Friday, and I am really looking forward for everything to go dark as soon as my head hits a pillow, but first, I need to go to a pharmacy. In my country, some pharmacies have a small lab adjacent where COVID tests can be taken, and a few lab technicians, chemists and general practitioners may be found to do certain procedures, run certain tests, and make common diagnoses. Here is the thing. They are all wearing the full one-piece white, hooded suits and protective gear you all have seen so much. I am wearing surgical scrubs. So, in enters a very sleep-deprived little old me to the pharmacy, who immediately goes on to examine the toothpastes and brushes. After a little while, I hear a throat being cleared, so I say oh, my bad, and scoop over closer to the shelves to let the person walk by. Wrong answer. The person replies no, I need you to look at me, the line to the appointments area is too long. Confused, I turn and see an all too familiar look, a curly, bleached, shoulder-length haircut, blue eyelid makeup that looks more like two slapped-in post-it notes than anything else, eye-searing lipstick and pink, glistening claws to go along with a predatory cat pattern top. Oh, I don't work here, I reply. Knowing it won't do, I work in a hospital, I say, hoping it is enough justification for Karen to understand why I'm dressed the way I am. She of course dismisses my claim and says I must work here, as I am uniformed and stacking shelves. Yikes, the Karen's logic. I simply reply no, but I'm sure an employee will be happy to help you. Karen replies with, you are a health worker, why don't you help me? As an intern, I don't even have my degree yet, I can't and shouldn't do much, even if I wanted to, and I simply reply, I'm not on duty and I don't. She interrupts. Hey, snaps her fingers. Hey, snaps her fingers. I paid for my ticket just like everyone else, you will see me. Me. Again, I don't work here, and I have no obligation to do random consults on the wild whenever you please, lady. A floor tile nearly broke upon a gaping of her jaws. At this point, she is pissed. As if summoned by her indignation, a manager walks over and asks if all is well. Karen seizes her opportunity to talk faster than you can blink. No, this employee is very rude. I want him fired. Manager. Ma'am, he does not work here, our employees wear. Karen. He works here. Stop trying to cover for him, you need to fire him now, his behavior is unacceptable, he refuses to help me. Manager. Ma'am, I am going to have to ask you to stop harassing customers or leave. Karen, now enraged, letting out a hybrid between a roar and a sigh. Oh. I can't believe the audacity of you people to treat customers here, this is outrageous. She slaps the products off the closest shelf, sending items flying onto the manager and me, an accusatory, pink-clawed index finger flying erratically. I will not give you, sphincter, holes any business, and I hope this putrid little pharmacy goes under. She storms off in a huffing and puffing. I hurry off to pay and leave before she looks at the appointment ticket still clutched in her other hand, and realizes she paid for something she has not used and decides to return, demanding a refund, or worse, attention. I exit the pharmacy and movement catches my eye. I turn and I see Karen inside her SUV, foaming from the mouth, clutching her steering wheel, and violently pushing and pulling herself. Then she sees me. The horror, I walk faster, trying not to look at her. She lowers a window and starts screaming some more at me. I ignore her and hurry to my escape pod on wheels. Escape successful. The next story is titled A Light-Hearted One. I'm one of those folks who does gig economy work, and most the time it's picking up food. Tonight I get an order for a fine dining establishment that specializes in Persian and Mediterranean food. I had to walk towards the area near the kitchen, because they didn't have a hostess up front, which isn't unusual for this place because they aren't very busy on Sunday nights. Now then, the staff wear white uniforms with black ties, whereas I was standing around holding a large branded delivery bag and I'm dressed in jeans and a t-shirt. I'm also wearing a mask branded with the logo for the delivery service. I practically look like I'm a bum that just walked off the street, but that made no difference here. This guy walks in and comes down from the entrance and tells me that he's meeting somebody there tonight, and looks at me expectantly. I look around and realize that he's not talking to anybody else, so he repeats himself. I hold up the delivery bag and say, "I'm just here to pick up an order." He finally snaps out of it and realizes his error. He apologized for being so oblivious. It was pretty clear he was dressed up for a first date, so he's got other things on his mind. At least we were able to laugh about it and had no drama, so there you go. I at least have a "I don't work here" story, mild that it may be. The next story is titled "How Do I Stop My Neighbors from Using My Driveway?" I recently bought a house close to the downtown of the small rural city I work in. The neighborhood is mostly middle class and people pretty much keep to themselves. My house is at the end of a narrow street that doesn't have a turnaround, so there's an understanding between me and my 80-year-old neighbor, whose driveway is directly across from mine, that we may occasionally back a couple feet into each other's driveways when we pull in and out of our own. Also, because I don't have a garage, I have to park my car on my driveway. However, the neighbors directly beside me are trashy hoarders, and what I mean by that is they have garbage bags that burst open every few days that dump used diapers, fast food trash, and other unmentionable items all over my yard and the street. Every few weeks they clean up everything on their property, and life moves on. It's annoying, but as the new neighbor I don't want to cause problems, so I've just not said anything. However, there is evidence of drug activity, smell, neighbors' behavior. Very specifically, the 10 to 15 cars that come into our dead-end street on a daily basis stay less than 5 minutes, then book it out as fast as they can. At all hours. These cars, not knowing the neighborhood, end up blocking the street, making it so that me and my other neighbors can't get to our houses. Also, many of them want to make a quick escape, so they end up passing my neighbor's house and finding they have nowhere else but my driveway to turn around in. Of course they could back down the street, but these people aren't that smart. So multiple times a day people pull into my driveway and use it to turn around. Not only is it scary to have these people invading my driveway, not by a few feet mind you, it's their whole cars, it also disturbs my family and pets. I'm also scared they will hit my car and drive off. These interactions happen so fast there is no way to call the cops or report these people without sounding crazy and like a Karen complaining about them using my driveway. It's also different people every time, so it's not like the same people repeatedly causing the issue. I don't want to start problems with my neighbor by confronting or reporting them. They could make it very hard for me to access my house or damage my property. I'm not sure what I should or can do to get them to keep their guests off my driveway. Can anyone help me figure out what I can do? The next story is titled "Ma'am, I'm American, like you." Alright, so, if you look at my profile you'll see we bought the boat of our dreams during this whole crazy experience the world has been going through. With restrictions and cases finally dropping to a level that isn't absolutely bonkers, we decided to go on our first long-distance journey, leaving from the east coast of America and heading for the west coast. We're planning to be gone for about 90 days. This morning we awoke in gorgeous San Marino, Mexico, and everything I remember from my youth about that San Isidro sun was just the beginning to this stunning place. I quickly hit the galley and made some Italian-inspired breakfast burritos, using this lovely habanero marinara sauce my partner found on our journeys, some chicken, pepperoni, eggs and onions. Using 3 burrito-sized tortillas I was able to fashion this monster together as I grab a fresh beer to start the day as we're docked here until tomorrow. Woo! I tell you about my delicious breakfast burrito because it is a main character in our story today. I stumble up to the main deck with my goodies and our pups in tow. They've got a good 30 feet by 20 feet patch of turf to do their business up here. Standing there in my Crocs, obnoxiously bright swim trunks and one of those oversized straw hats with the chin strap, I hear the song of my homeland. The American Karen going ballistic on what I think were dock workers. As I said hangover, I'm not too sure as my Spanish isn't the best. Hopping onto the dock I spot her in all of her glory, matching me in stature. As a 6 feet 3,260 pounds man with a beard past his nips, this sends my childish brain right into wallflower mode, as nothing is better with a sloppy burrito than people watching. Karen screaming at the 2 men on the dock about a boat, not mine but one clearly privately owned and not some kind of rental. Karen's demanding they provide the ship to her for the day and is swinging around a fistful of bills. Our Mexican friends are doing their best to communicate to her that they have nothing to do with the boat. Again, I'm assuming as she's screaming and stomping as she gestures toward it, and they're awkwardly shrugging and attempting to avoid her. Then it happens. I've been spotted. I attempt to slink back under deck, but alas, as I turn around to seal the cabin, I see the final boss Karen making a beeline for me with what can only be described as the "I'm going to get the manager to do what I say" expression. Having two very large and protective dogs, I bite the bullet and step back onto the deck. Karen. Sir, why don't your workers speak English? How are they supposed to do their job if they don't speak English? After a stunned pause, I respond with, well, ma'am, we're in Mexico. The primary language here is Spanish. Also, they're not my workers as I don't work here. Please get off of my boat. Going from 0 to 100, Karen launches into a tirade about how it's BS and they need to speak English and I need to get that random person's boat ready for her before her husband arrives with their kids. Add in plenty more racism. Finally cutting her off, I yell, hey idiot, I do not work here, or even in this country. Kindly get the duck off my boa. As I'm saying the word boat, Karen shoved me. No words, just a full-on shove. I did end up going overboard, but the sight I saw on the dock when I came back to dry land was glorious. You see, in my journey over the starboard bow of my boat, I did manage to throw the about 70% of burrito I still had in my hand that is stuffed full of habanero sauce at Karen, hitting her in the neck. Apparently it exploded everywhere and Karen was covered from her cheeks to her midsection, even seeping through the bikini top she was wearing. Surprisingly, after she was done screaming about the heat, she simply sat down and started crying. I'm back below deck now with a fresh burrito and another beer. Wonder if I'm gonna go for another swim when her husband shows up. Our Mexican friends did manage to hightail it while Karen was all peppered up though, so all ended well. The next story is titled I Work Here and I Can Take the Elevator. A little background before I tell you the incidents. I work at a software engineering company in Colombo, Sri Lanka. Recently our HQ moved to a new place. The new place is in the 4th floor of an office building complex. Above our floor there is another software company. In the ground floor there is a supermarket. Other floors are occupied by an agency of an Arabic country. To access top floors people have to 2 elevators and staircases, but we usually use the elevators. But for people who comes to the agency, have to use the staircases. I don't much about the procedures going on there, but first you need to go to the 5th floor and then again to 3rd floor and back again to the 2nd floor. Since elevators are in open, there is a security guard hired by the agency to direct people who are coming for its services to staircases. In the first few days after the new office opening, the security guy asked me where I am going, but eventually he recognized me enough to let me pass without being asked. So, this happened today. When I came to the office in the morning, I saw that the usual security guy is not there. So I just took the elevator to my floor and started working. Around 12 o'clock I again took the elevator to the ground floor to get my lunch from the supermarket. When the elevator door opened, I saw a huge line next to elevator with a middle-aged woman sitting in a chair at the end of it. I guessed she's here to fill in for the usual security guard. As it doesn't matter for me, I passed her and went into the supermarket. Once I brought my lunch, I came back outside to take the elevator. I should also mention here that since my office have no rules for dress codes, I usually wear slippers to the office. But most of my coworkers wear shoes usually. So, I came near the elevator and pressed the button to call the elevator only to hear, "Excuse me. Where are you thinking you are going?" This took me by surprise. I turned and behold, it's that middle-aged woman. Since this never happened before, I thought maybe she's thinking I am going for the agency, so I said, "Oh, I am going to the 4th floor." To my surprise, she said, "You can't take the elevator, you need to take the stairs." Now here I was totally confused. Thinking she didn't heard me before, I told her again, actually I work in the 4th floor, at the ABC company, not real. At this time the elevator door also opened, so I decided to go inside the elevator. Suddenly I felt a hand grabbing the backside of my shirt and I got pushed out of the elevator. I turned only to see this middle-aged woman behind me. Before I say something, she said, "I told you take the stairs. Elevator is only for the VPIs and office workers." I was dumbfounded. I always use these stairs, and in fact I know anybody working in the 2 offices can take the elevators without any problem. Also, I just mentioned her that I am an office worker. Before I tried to explain that her, she asked, "Can I see your letter or your card?" I asked, "What letter? What card?" The woman, now irritated, in high pitched the letter with the date and number. Now first I thought she's asking for my employee agreement. But then I thought, who carries that around in their pockets? So I said, "If you are asking for my employee agreement, it's in home. Also I don't have a card." The woman now more irritated. What are you thinking, boy? You need to bring that. Go home and bring it now. What are you thinking? That you will get special treatments, huh? Now here I thought that she's still mistaking me for a person going for the agency, so I said in angry irritated voice, listen auntie, I works at ABC company, which is in the 4th floor. We are allowed to use the elevator. Can you please let me go now? She then said, so you work here? Okay, I am sorry. Where is your employee card? Now even the people in the line are looking at this argument, and this is also making me angry. With my anger I shouted, I don't have a employee card. We don't need a employee card. What the heck are you talking about? The woman, now also angry, said, don't you shout at me like that. Let me call your boss. Before I said anything she took her phone. I called somebody. I heard she's telling to the person in the phone that there is an employee without an employee card trying to access the building and shouting at her. When she hung up she had a poo-eating grin in her mouth. She then said, you are in big trouble, young man. Wait until Mr. less than insert a Arabic name here greater than comes down. You know the rules. You can't access the building without your employee card. By the way, don't you know the dress code? You need to wear formal clothes. And then she continued to shout at me. With my anger I could have started shouting back at her too, but I decided to wait until the guy she called comes downstairs since she doesn't understand what I am saying. After maybe 5 minutes the elevator door opened and a tried and angry looking Arabic guy came out. He came near the table, looked at me and asked, what is the issue? The woman pointing at me told him that I am trying to access the building without any employee card or anything letter, and then she also mentioned that I am not in formal office clothes. The Arabic guy, confused, looked at me and asked, are you working at the agency? I said no, I work in the ABC company in the 4th floor. Again confused he asked, wait, so you are working at ABC? Did you told her that? Before I replied to him the woman jumped in and said, yes sir, he told me. But I was informed to check office workers for employee ID cards too. The Arabic guy confused for a second and then he asked, wait, who told you that? Then the woman began to explain that the head security gave her instructions. The Arabic guy, understanding what happened, explained to her that there are 2 other offices in the building and they can access the elevators whenever they want. Then he turned to me and apologies for the inconvenience. I said him it's okay and took the elevator to my floor. I had to take a little break afterwards to calm myself down. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.